Good afternoon, Papua New Guinea. On this day, the Thursday, 19th of September, I make this call of duty to all law enforcement agencies in the country. My first call goes to the police commissioner and all members of the police constabulary, the chief ombudsman commissioner, and all ombudsman commissioners and the staff, and the newly established independent commission against corruption, to all the chairmen and all those faithful people that work to uphold the rule of law. And my final call goes to the Office of the Attorney General of Papua New Guinea, which used to be known as the Department of Justice. In the last couple of days, in this month alone, we have witnessed a couple of major events. First and foremost, we had the arrival of the Holy See, the Pope, who came here and had expressed in no uncertain terms that it was said for a rich country not to look after its citizens. And of course, the world knows that Papua New Guinea, being the richest country in terms of land and resources, also is home to some of the poorest people on the planet. And that was the reason why the Pope had to make his thoughts known, and he paid a special visit to us. Also in the same month, Honorable James Marape had sustained himself against the emotion of no confidence against him on the floor of Parliament, courtesy of the Speaker and 75 members of Parliament, who had decided that the state of the economy and the country was not important. It was their own selfish benefit that was more important. And therefore they had sustained him on the floor of Parliament against the national cry from the people of this country that the Prime Minister should resign from office. On Monday, 16th of September, we have seen the power of the youth who celebrated the 49th independence anniversary. And they did so in telling us that there is hope if we can do things properly. And sadly, with all the splash of pain, all this youth and exuberance, there was hope. There are people who are, these are youths who are unemployed and are always looking out for funds just to sustain themselves in these difficult times. And that calls for responsible action. Today, this minute, as you're watching me, I am calling upon the police commissioner and the 6,000 or so members of the police constabulary, wherever you're working. And I'm also calling upon the Ombudsman Commission and the Independent Commission Against Corruption and the Attorney General to respond to this national call of duty. We have seen the breakdown of law and order. As I speak, there is chaos all over the country. There's a breakdown of the rule of law. There is no law and order. The economy is damaged. We have constant supply problems with the short supply of fuel for aviation. And what does it tell you? Our hospitality industry, the travel and tourism industry is gone. Nobody's going to come to this country. As I speak, Pogera is having problems, and Pogera will not open for a long time because of outstanding landowner disputes. And likewise, many of the ongoing project sites for mines, for oil and gas fields, for water resource, for hydroelectricity, have not been attended to. So we expect a lot of problems that's going to cripple this economy, if not send us bankrupt. But we have also seen that there is a complete disregard for the rule of law, as was demonstrated by the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape. In the lead up to the vote of no confidence, we have seen massive payouts from the Department of Finance, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Finance. We have seen massive payouts from the Department of Works. And these were paid particularly to cronies of the Prime Minister or people who were related to senior politicians in the government or the opposition, but members of parliament. And we have also seen that the rule of law and the integrity of parliament was completely disregarded as thugs went and grabbed members, offered them bribes, forced them to vote for the Prime Minister. They even made dummy checks. They had hijacked the governor from Morobe on his way from an overseas trip, took him to a hotel, locked him up, and offered him bribes. And they forced him to come and stand before a dummy check that we're going to give so much money to your province so you can play around with the money. Now, that is a complete disregard for the rule of law. The law states clearly that you can never bribe a member of parliament on any question put before the floor of parliament. And if you do bribe a member of parliament, or if a member of parliament seeks and obtains a bribe in any form, is also liable to be prosecuted. So having seen what we have seen last week, we are convinced beyond a reasonable doubt there was massive bribery involved in sustaining James Marape as Prime Minister, using private funds from his business supporters and also using state funds enabled by officers of the law, people with Section 32 powers like the Secretary for Treasury, the Secretary for Finance, the Secretary for National Planning, the Secretary for Works, and of course the state-owned entities, the National Petroleum Corporation, MRDC, Telecom, PNG Power. They were all forced to chip in money to sustain the Prime Minister in this vote of no confidence through undue influence. And of course, bribery was involved. So, are we going to sit back and do nothing? No. The People's Anti-Corruption that I lead as the President will file an official complaint against the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, and against all members of Parliament who were swayed by bribery, directly and indirectly. We have to stand by the rule of law to save this country. Over the years, we have seen a lot of our patrons and statesmen giving lip service on attacking corruption. They say, yeah, it's systematic and systemic. So what? The law is very, very clear. And today, I am calling upon the police commissioner and the 6,000 or 7,000 members of the police constabulary to do your constitutional duties in upholding the rule of law. Me and my group, we are a non-government organization. We are committed to fighting corruption, and we will lay a formal complaint of bribery of members of parliament by the Prime Minister and his cronies. And we are also going to lay a complaint against the members who are deliberate in seeking favors to support the Prime Minister on the question of a vote of no confidence on the floor of Parliament. It has become crystal clear that this country is a lawless state, and there is nothing that we can do now. The powers of bringing this country back on track is with the law enforcement agencies. And we are calling upon the police commissioner to take a leading role on this. The People's Anti-Corruption Movement Incorporated, which I lead, will file a complaint, official complaint, to you, and we will copy the letter to all the law enforcement agencies. And we will give you sufficient time to respond. If you respond, or if you don't respond in reasonable time, we will apply in court to obtain a mandamus using our rights under Section 51 of the Constitution to know about public information as to whether you're going to perform your duties or not. And we will allow the court to decide on whether you are a competent person or not. But we will not tolerate this nonsense as it's been going on for 49 years. And the country is technically bankrupt because of the politicians who simply do not know the constitutional duties to protect the Constitution and the laws of this country so that the country can progress for the good of all its citizens. With that, I ask the people of Papua New Guinea to remain calm in these troubled times. We will do what needs to be done. We'll file a formal complaint to the police commissioner and all law enforcement agencies for them to take action according to law. If nothing is done, we will take the matter to court and we will test the limits of the law on whether the Prime Minister and the members of Parliament are above the law, or that we are all, that we need to restore the rule of law in Papua New Guinea. We should never accept things that are destructive to this nation. And we need